Hello, and welcome to Homescreen, the show brought to you by 11FS Pulse, a platform with over 6,000 user journeys from banks and fintechs from all over the world. So head over to pulse.11fs.com to check it out. Today we're going to be talking about green fintech, and particularly those fintechs that are having a positive impact on the climate crisis. So we're going to pick out a few and discuss them in detail. Joined today by Will Jones. How are you doing today, Will?
I'm very good. How are you?
Yeah, very well, thank you. Very well. So do you want to intro the principles by which we're going to judge these different fintechs?
Certainly can. And look, the reason why we have principles is because I think people can get a little bit swept up in the good news story of trying to have a positive impact on the climate and forget some of the things that I'm about to discuss. So principle one, is it for real? Like, are they actually having a meaningful impact, or is it purely greenwashing?
Yeah.
Are they trying to hide some evil over here,
Right.
by putting ESG products or whatever over here? Because I think also we can understand how for real it is in terms of the impact. Are they purely sort of offsetting, or actually having real impact on behavioural change of users that's putting good into the world?
Yeah.
Now, for each of these principles, and you're going to have to go with us on this, we want to score these out of 5. So is it for real? We're going to score out of 5 leaves.
5 leaves. Yeah. Seems appropriate.
Number 2, as a principle, is it a good product experience?
Right. Yeah.
Now, I really care about this one because you could be doing something brilliant, but fundamentally, if no one wants to use it, it's all pretty irrelevant. And also, we're talking about finance products here. So if it doesn't operate well as a finance product, it doesn't matter if it's doing good for the world. Sure. It doesn't fulfill your core need.
You can't use it and you don't want to use it.
You don't want to use it. You can't forget the fact that maybe you are a bank, you are an investment platform. Like, that needs to be done.
And this is where Pulse excels, isn't it? With that kind of, is it a good product experience?
Exactly. And we're going to measure this in cogs.
I bet.
So we've got leaves, we've got cogs. And then there are 3 principles. The final one, we're actually going to ask ourselves, will it work? And really here we're saying, have they got the brand trust to actually be trying to do this sort of thing?
Right.
Is there too much competition out there for this to succeed?
Yeah.
Is this a bit far-fetched to ask users to engage with and not to actually get the outcome that they want to create here?
Yeah.
What we're really asking, go with this, is will it bear fruit? And we're going to measure this in fruits.
We're going to kick things off with Circa 5000. So Circa 5000 is an app that lets you invest in green investment portfolios, specifically green. And there's a child account, there's a pension account, there's a stocks and ISA option, and there's a carbon offsetting option as well. What would you say in that, in terms of its mission there? It's quite clear, isn't it?
I think it is. It's not really straying that broad.
No.
It's trying to do one or two things really well.
Yeah.
And it's quite apparent, I think.
Yeah. I'm going to give it 5 leaves for is it for real? Kicking things off with 5.
First one we're looking at, you're giving 5.
5.
That is a high, but you can't go anywhere from here.
No, I know. But I thought start with 5. And does that mean, can you give it 5? You sort of have to give it 4 now, don't you?
I kind of have to give it 4. I want to leave myself somewhere to go.
Yeah.
We can come back to this. I think it does do what it says pretty well. We've got no reason to doubt it.
Yeah.
And actually, it gives that outcome without huge amount of effort from people.
Yeah. So should we have a look at it?
Let's have a look at it, yeah.
Okay. I'm going to dive into Pulse and take a look at we can have a look at the Invest tab. So it scored 4 out of 5 for on usability, and visual design. Immediately getting your total share value there. I can see it's dipped quite a lot, which actually has been quite common for these types of funds.
And this is your actual money?
This actually has to be my money, yeah, which is a bit of a blow.
Now, look, what they've got here, that was... Because I've looked throughout this app, and I think the one thing that strikes you, yes, it is very clean. It's borrowing patterns that are easily recognised.
Yeah.
It's, if anyone's used like a free trade, a Revolut, anything like that, you can see really familiar way of understanding the trends.
Yeah.
Understanding how to make an investment and a way of, like you can see here, drilling down into how that money is invested.
Mm-hmm.
I think if I'm going to pull out any negatives, it's a bit joyless.
It is a bit joyless. And the screen where you see the breakdown's nice.
Yeah.
Kind of wish we saw a bit more of that. And it's a nice breakdown. Lots of investment platforms don't have that. It's actually very hard to see where let's say you've gone to a mutual fund and you want to see how it's broken down. It can be very tedious to get to that and unimaginative. They do that well, but I agree. I mean, this isn't a nice way to land on the dashboard, is it? Fine, you've got your value of shares, but immediately you're being upsold on pensions.
Yeah, it's odd that.
Yeah.
And if you look, my eyes immediately drawn to the giant space at the top.
Yeah.
I wonder if something used to be there. But the point being, like, people used to say, "Oh, you should be able to cover the logo and see whose website it is." This was before apps, and this clearly dates my experience here. But I think it's slightly different in apps. You'd never put a logo in as part of the experience. Like that's your app store. That's your icon. But actually, here it's devoid of a little bit of personality.
Yeah.
I did praise the fact it's clean. It's easy to see what to do. All of the controls are in the right place, apart from one which we may come on to.
Yes.
But ultimately there was quite a nice suite of icons that were sort of metallic when you looked into the allocation of funds. Where's that here?
Yeah.
That could really lift it.
It's not an app you want to kind of engage with a lot. You might have a look at your stocks, be a bit disappointed, and then leave.
To be honest with you, that might be a good thing.
Yeah.
If we're discouraging knee-jerk reactions to drops, I think you've actually waited till you've lost £80 to really engage with this. So
exactly.
Perhaps you're in there for the long.
And
this encourages.
It is simple, and that's effective as well. I mean, it's the UX is relatively straightforward. I think it's designed for new joiners newcomers to the world of investment and shares, and actually it's pretty simple for them. They can see the performance graph easily. They can see the breakdown of the stocks. They can see the mission of that. They can buy or sell, and then they can leave. And it does that well. It just feels a bit wireframey.
I know what you mean. But they're not far from, there are a few brand touches away from something that's quite engaging.
I feel like they've done a lot of the hard work. It's now just
100%.
a bit of that visual flourish that they need. So we also noticed actually that they have a carbon offsetting feature, which is great. It's good to include it. It's got a lovely bit in it where you can offset your life, which is not a feature we've seen before, I don't think.
I liked this. I found it a bit mad.
Yeah.
I don't know if we want to have a look at it, but it's effectively, you're making a charitable donation through the app. I believe it estimates how much you should want to offset.
Yeah, I think it does the UK average.
Yeah.
And then and it knows your age because you've gone through the KYC.
Exactly.
And then it will say, okay, well, you're £7,000, something like that.
Yeah.
And then you double click to pay on Apple Pay and you're done. Guilt free.
That's a lot of money.
It's a lot of money.
Through Apple Pay. I mean,
it is a lot of money.
If anyone's in the financial position to carbon offset their entire life now, I mean...
But maybe, you feel particularly guilty after a steak dinner, a few red wines, anything.
That's true. Maybe one of the other apps we're going to have a look at made you feel even guiltier.
Yeah.
Steak dinner.
Yeah.
And you're coming in here. I like this. It's really simple. It could have more joy in it, though.
Yeah, it could have more joy.
This is talking about your life. This is talking about a bunch of actions that create CO2.
Yeah.
And you being able to offset them. There's ways to make that interaction, there's ways to encourage people to actually, donate a larger number of years and things. There's an app I was playing with recently called Share the Meal, which roughly falls into this category, but you're effectively trying to make a donation to help people that don't have enough food to eat. And then you swipe it, you used to be able to see more food appear.
Yeah.
You're never just going to donate a single egg.
No.
And the more you swipe, now it shows how many people you can actually donate to.
Okay, yeah.
Little illustrations, but it's simple things like that could all nudge you towards a greater donation.
I mean, I dread to think what the confirmation screen looks like when you pay off your life of offset.
And have I bought the ability there to drive around in a tank and
I don't know, but it's good that the feature's in there, and it just
good.
doesn't have that delight factor yet.
No, but it's again not far off.
No, yeah.
The only negative here is that it's located in settings.
Yes, that is an odd place to keep an offsetting feature. Very well hidden, almost like they don't want you to do it.
I wonder if from a business perspective, this doesn't make them a huge amount of money. Whereas some of the things you pointed out, it starts talking about consolidating pensions.
Yeah.
There is probably a logic to hiding the things that are perhaps less commercially.
Yeah. You hate to think it, but possibly.
I'm being a massive cynic.
Yeah. Another nice feature about the carbon offsetting process there is that it is a bit gamified. If you do, it says you're a climate hero if you do 4 times over the national average, or then there's carbon neutral, and then in between there's sort of carbon pro or something like that. And it's a nice way to gamify it. But again, that should be on your dashboard.
Give me a badge.
Yeah, give me a badge.
We're all suckers. We love a badge, actually.
Don't hide the badge in settings.
Exactly.
So I think there's a lot of room for improvement across all aspects, but the features that it delivers are spot on.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, I can't fault like the usability of being able to do these things.
Yeah.
Visual design, I'm going to broaden that and say brand experience.
Yeah.
Probably falls a little bit behind, but they've got all the basics right here.
Yeah.
How many cogs?
I'm going to give it 2.5.
Oof.
Yeah.
I'm going to give it 3.5.
Okay. Yeah.
Just because I think for the features that they've got, it like in a lot of the utility of it, the usability of it.
Yeah.
It's not
far.
Really not bad.
Yeah.
It's just that brand experience
that
needs to be added.
You dropped them a leaf though, so
I did.
Kind of even there.
Oh, I felt like maybe I need to be more generous here.
Yeah. Well, fair enough. I think we're basically on the same page with that one though. So now we're going to talk about will it work? I mean, I think if they iron out some of those UX issues, make it more of an appealing, engaging app from my perspective, it could be the go-to investment app. Yeah. Fruits, I'm going to say 4.
I think I'm a 4 too.
Yeah.
Like if you've chosen to look for that sort of thing, you want to find a company that does it.
Yeah.
You'd do pretty well to go with these guys.
Yeah.
And invest in these sorts of things. But then again, I also have options like Chip, or some of the banks that offer these things.
Yeah.
It's perhaps easier to discover, and people ultimately they might just go with rate because there's only so much money that feeling good and doing ethical things for a lot of investors. There's only so far that will go.
We're now going to talk about Cogo, massive green fintech, very popular. Lots of people have heard of it. It's in a lot of partnerships. And really what it is it's a carbon tracker. It does tell you about actions. It's got another offsetting feature as well. But that's its core functionality is carbon counting or carbon tracking, something we've seen a lot of. It's developed a lot. There's a few competitors. It's really a global phenomenon. Let's talk about is it for real? What do we think?
I think it is for real.
Yeah.
I mean, there's nothing to suggest that it isn't.
Mm-hmm.
If you weren't for real, you wouldn't take on the monumental challenge that they have, which is trying to understand from your spending where your sort of carbon footprint is particularly high, and try and affect change in the user themselves. I referenced it in sort of the first principle.
Yeah.
This is the hardest thing to try and do.
Yeah.
In fact, slight aside, we as a company worked with a business maybe about 4 years ago to look into a similar thing, and the amount of effort it would take to really look at how you can, in quite an impartial way, make a moral judgment on people's spending that is then makes them feel like they should change and actually affect how much carbon it's huge. Like actually hats off to them for getting as far as they have with this product.
And they are at the forefront. And if you look on the website, they've got a really good breakdown of how they do their carbon count and how they measure it, and it's different for each country, and there's heaps of technology that goes into it. That said, it's still very hard to do from a single retailer. It's very hard to know what the the average is, but they go pretty far with it. But it's really seems to be one about changing behaviour, and rather than actions, it kind of shows you where you're going wrong, and it does go some way into letting you fix that. But for me, it's really a behavioural app.
I think for right now in its current incarnation, it feels more in sort of nudging through awareness, than it does through giving you actions that you can do with the means, than the means to do it. It's about making you aware and hoping you'll change.
Yeah. So for you, how many leaves is that?
Is it for real? Look, I think it's a 4 leaves for me. It's got a bit to go, but just what they have achieved so far, I think it's quite real. I haven't seen any data on perhaps the impact that their product has had.
Yeah,
it's perhaps slightly harder to measure than if you are donating to offset, or if you are. I mean, they may have that, or if you are investing here rather than there.
Yeah, I think I'll give it 4 as well, because it's massively popular. It's a very successful and well communicated piece of tech, and the standalone app is good as well. But the reason it might drop 1 is I think it does lend itself to a bit of. It's got lots of partnerships, and you could just say we're partnered with Cogo, therefore we're green. So I suppose it slightly lends itself to others maybe greenwashing a bit, or tick boxing, saying we've done our bit, and it's missing on that action side, I think. But
you make me want to change mine.
What to I think
maybe
walk
drop
down
half point.
Yeah. No, I think 4 is fair. I mean, it is massively popular, and again, you can't measure the impact it has because who knows the behavioural change that it's driven already, and they're at the forefront of that. But if you want to drop a half a leaf,
I'll disagree with you on the next one. Let's do that.
Okay. Yeah. So 4 leaves each there. Now, is it a good product? What do you think?
Well, this is the really interesting one for me. I think at its core, it's relatively easy to use, but I think we've already touched on it. I think it requires a lot from the user as it is. I think it starts to do bits of behavioural design, but there's a lot going on.
Yeah.
People respond well to a simple set of actions, getting told what order to do things and what the outcome might be. Make it simple for me.
Yeah.
I think as well, if it got a lot of information from like the rich transactions, they could perhaps use, for example, geolocation to suggest really simple switches to different retailers that perhaps score a bit better on UN sustainability goals or don't quite cost the planet as much carbon. Make it a bit simpler for me. I think the usability, it's fine. I can click around. I understand the information I'm being given, but where's the immediacy of actions, and where's the prioritization of actions? And where's the simplicity of actions? For me to actually be able to change, because I think I probably am not unrepresentative of quite a lot of the rest of the population or world, if it's gone round, where we're fundamentally fairly stuck in our ways. And anyone that's trying to affect behavioural change, it's got to be small, incremental, rewarding, and actually create these small loops that build up to something bigger.
I think that's fair enough. I completely agree with that. On the action side, it's 2 to 3 taps to actually find, let's say, a retailer. Let's say you've been shopping somewhere where it says there could be better option than that. That's great. Flag it up. This isn't a very climate positive place to shop. Okay, fine. Where is it on a map? I'd like to know. And rather than just say, that's not great. There are some retailers in there. There are actions, but they're not very well emphasized. It's not easy for you to do, and there's not that many of them. With the thing around the nudging. I think they lean on nudge theory a lot. I think they even talk about it on their website, where they constantly tell you things, and maybe you're annoyed at it and you're thinking, I didn't even use beef at M&S then. But actually it's lodged somewhere, and you're thinking, well, actually I'm not going to use beef that much as I would. So it's hard to know, because maybe you getting frustrated at it is actually slightly at the core, something that's in your head. It's hard to know. But it's looking at the breakdown of transactions, it doesn't seem to be that imaginative in the things it's telling you or the solutions it's providing. So I think for me it's actually best partnered with apps, and I think they do a really good job of that. I'd love to see it in Monzo, for example, and it would say you've used this much carbon this month, or an estimated amount. NatWester, I think they've got 350,000 users already enrolled and using it, and I think that's where it's best placed. The standalone app isn't insightful enough to keep on going back into it, I don't think.
I kind of agree. I feel like I've been quite harsh, but I love Cogo, and I have since the beginning. And I love what they're trying to do and appreciate everything that's gone into there. But I agree with you. Like we said and explained the principles at the start, fundamentally a lot of these things have a purpose that is at its core, and you have to get that right. And the green stuff is over the top. This doesn't have really a purpose other than the green stuff. It's a companion app. Second, if you're not really using this to view your transactions, so they've got to fight so hard to get engagement and actually active use through this. I think you're right. Partnership is the way forward. It's an uphill battle to have a standalone app on this. I think it does have a place, and actually, for people that are really invested in this and want to read more and want to go to that granularity, it's really, really good. But by the casual use, fundamentally what I'm saying is I'm probably too lazy. And but you would like to see it in your banking app. I'd absolutely love to see it. Same. I think another thing that will really push carbon counting to the next level is if they can itemize receipts more easily, because you could go to Sainsbury's, it doesn't have any idea what you've bought. I think there are some where you do input it, but I mean, at the very least, you should be able to scan a receipt. And there is technology. I think it's pretty basic at the moment, but that a retailer can tell an app what you've bought. I think it's quite a complicated process. But once we get there, and they know exactly that you didn't buy beef, or what exactly, or use it,
or and even the brand, or use it, or the brand that you bought, even. That's when it gets really, really powerful, and I think that will just skyrocket it.
And that everyone watching this knows they are not the only or primary use case for getting basket data. Everyone would love that. Imagine what we could do when designing products. I mean, but for that reason, there is a future where that happens. And this can be really granular and suggest swaps at a basket level that I would really engage with, for sure. It could give you really simple things to do.
Because until then, it's going to have the best guess, and they put a lot of money and tech into that guessing game, and fair play to them that they're probably the best at it. But it can really reach another level on it. So how many cogs do you think?
How many cogs? I think it does some things pretty well. I think it can be overwhelming in terms of information sometimes, and the hierarchy just needs to prioritize some of the really clear stuff. So I'm going to give it 3.5 cogs.
I'm going to give it 3 because it's quite hard to find the impact stuff. I mean, sorry, it's a bit hard to find the actions. I just find that's a bit lacking. But it's like, as a business, I'd give it a 4 or a 5. It's just the standalone app. I think is not that incredible, but I think they probably don't pour that much of their effort into it. I think it's more in the how actually can we use our insights and our way of carbon counting as effectively as possible. So it's not, I love Cogo as well, but the standalone app is probably for the enthusiasts most of all.
It's a smaller audience, isn't it?
Yeah, for sure.
And I think we can probably go ahead and score it on will it work?
Yeah.
How many, will it bear fruit? Because I think we just talked a lot around how efficient it might be in generating change.
Again, they sort of feed into each other. I want to say, I hope it's 5. I hope it's 5. But it's probably still at a 3.5, 4.
I mean, I'd give it a 3 as a standalone app.
Yeah.
I'd give it a 5 if it was embedded.
Yeah. Let's just embed it, please. Can we partner with...
For this scoring, we're going to embed it.
Yeah. I mean, more fintech should do it. We were doing a sales page for Cogo, but there's a demand for it. People really want to see it, but they don't want to download a separate app to do it.
If we can be the middleman,
yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, exactly. So now we're going to talk about Twig, which is a circular economy app and a popular one. And the way it works is that you can take a photo of your laptop or a book or a phone or item of clothing they're big on, and you'll categorize it, you'll choose the brand, and it uses the Internet of Things to value it, give it a value, and then you can sell it to the bank.
That sounds great.
Yeah.
So I'm going to ask you.
Yep.
Is it for real?
Yes, it is for real. Like almost unbelievably so, because it's the idea that you would take a photo of something and you would immediately find a buyer, which is the bank, and they will buy it no matter what, really. Often at quite low prices, but sometimes they're very fair prices. It is a really unique, and like you can't quite believe that they actually would do it, but it's been going for years now and it's got lots of users. So yeah, it is absolutely for real. That said, the kind of impact that it has on climate change is, I mean, it is very positive in the sense that it promotes a circular economy more so than eBay and other platforms. Probably yes, because you're more likely to go through merchandise that you otherwise wouldn't sell. But it seems to be very focused on things like high-end fashion, which is a very profitable area anyway. So I don't know, it's hard to say how committed they are to the climate thing as opposed to the profits. But they can have both. That's fine.
Yeah, I mean, I have met the guys from Twig, and it really does seem like they live their values and really believe in this. So I 100% think it's for real, because I think sometimes, if you can see that the founders and the team are all behind this and know their mission, makes such a difference. Yeah. Does your consumers see that? Probably not.
Yeah.
But I think it does come through in the way that the app operates.
Yeah.
And I mean, you mentioned, say, the similarities, I guess, in getting rid of unwanted things to eBay, but I really think, eBay is full of things that will end up in landfill in 6 months' time.
Yeah.
As much as it is of lovely antique furniture that I've got in my basket.
Yeah.
Like, there's a lot of it is quite cheap goods.
Yeah.
This is a great alternative to that.
Yeah.
And, if the user figures are there and they are actually creating that marketplace, it does feel for real to me.
Yeah. No, that's fair enough. So how many leaves?
I'm going to give it 5 leaves.
5 leaves. Yeah, I mean, you've met the guys, so I think that I'm going to give it 4. I think because it's the circular economy. Actually, I mean, it is a huge thing, but there's lots of products that would go, we're all about secondhand goods first. Oh, and by the way, this is good for the economy. That's very good for the environment. They flipped it round, and they do have more emphasis, and there is actually an offsetting feature in there as well as other things. You can donate mass goods to charity as well. So they do take it that step further, but maybe they could do a bit more to get that extra leaf.
That's fair.
Yeah. Now, is it a good product?
So I think they're sort of on a journey towards it being a good product.
Yeah.
Like it hasn't been around for 10 years or even 5 to my knowledge.
Yeah.
Correct me if I'm wrong.
It used to be called DM.
Okay.
And I think that was about 3 years ago. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
So I think it is fairly easy to use. I was able to very quickly list.
Yeah.
Or get a price for things that I own.
Yeah.
I think from a visual design perspective, like I always talk about like branding in fintech, like so expected, so dull branding, and these guys aren't that.
Yeah, for sure.
Because I think they've got this sort of this 8-bit aesthetic, which has helped them sort of stand out.
Yeah.
I just think they have further to go to actually consistently execute that within the actual app experience.
Yeah.
Which, because if you look at some of the iconography, it's, it looks like a pack off the internet, when actually, with a bit more time, I'm sure they will execute that aesthetic throughout it. So
Yeah.
it does feel disjointed in places. It does feel like visually. But the UX patterns, I mean, they seem to have borrowed the best from a lot of the, your eBays and things from out here.
Yeah.
How people expect to do this sort of thing.
Yeah.
And it did surprise me how few taps away I was from getting how much it was and saying cash out, which
I
found quite satisfying, to be honest.
Yeah.
Yourself?
Well, I think there's so many parts that work really well. I love the brand identity and the unique visual design. We see a lot of copying in Pulse, and it's good that they've veered away from standard fintechs. And I think it's definitely aimed at Gen Z. They're very open about that. Actually, they talk about that a lot. So presumably they've tested it on those cohorts. And it's worked pretty well. It is actually simple to use as well, and it's improved a lot as well. I would say there's a few things. I think there's a thing called instant cash or instant cash out, and it's not instant. You have to send a parcel with the goods and wait for them to verify it.
Yeah.
And they verify it and then send them, which isn't instant, but instant cash for a photo is a ridiculous idea anyway. So they couldn't quite deliver on that CTA, but no one could. And what I do like about it is that it does deliver on its core function, which is incredibly bold.
It really is. Look, I'm with you. Like it's quite a new concept.
Yeah.
So, and maybe for someone who's incredibly digitally savvy, like the target audience it's not much of a leap for them.
Yeah.
If you've got someone, who didn't grow up with the internet, coming into here, they've learned how to use eBay.
Yeah.
They've learned the business model of that and what's expected of them when they get their money, etc. There are moments in this that might be quite jarring, and I think they're only a few sort of UX writing tweaks and enhancements away from helping people through that. For instance, when you first sign up, it gives you a valuation for the phone that you have even installed this. I love this, but I think the writing doesn't do enough to explain the fact that you're basically going, do you want to add this to your
the things that you're holding?
Exactly. You want to add this to, so for someone that is expecting this to be a marketplace, they're effectively being immediately asked, do you want to sell the device that you are holding in your hand? Whereas really they're saying, we can value this for you, and it's a great example of something you own. You effectively have, you can understand the value of all the stuff that you have. And then if you need cash for it, you can sell that thing, and I think it's brilliant. So just tiny little UX tweaks, and you can help those less savvy users into the experience.
I think another thing it does well is you can send multiple items to the same location, which you wouldn't be able to do otherwise when you're just selling to buyers you find on Facebook Marketplace or something. But we should probably cog it.
Let's cog it.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said at the top of this section, I think there is. I think they are on a J to evolve to like an even slicker UI.
Yeah.
So I'm going to score it slightly down for that.
Yeah.
Just because they have that core brand that could be brilliant. If rolled out through all of it, I'm going to give it 4. I think.
Fair enough. Yeah. I think I'm going to give it 3.5, but I recognise that the challenge they've got is massive, and I really, really back them to do it. It's epic what they've done already. No one else has done it. So even to get to that point is huge. I remember using DM, and it wasn't working, and you can understand why. It's such a hard thing to do. You can take a photo of this and scan it, and it can often recognise what it is, and then send it to a bank. That's incredible. So 3.5, but a brilliant app in the same vein.
Yeah, can't wait to see where it develops.
Yeah, same.
Will it work?
Is it working? I think it is. I think they've got over
1 million customers.
Over 1 million customers.
Yeah. That's what your notes say.
Yeah, and I hope they're right. So that's a huge amount. Hopefully lots of them actually use it. But with the 3.5 cog, it's if they really want to, they can. We've got people in the company who use it. And so it is working, and they're kind of trailblazers in that, right? So yeah, I think it is working. Just really hope it takes off.
I do as well. And look, I think it is working. I think it will evolve to work even more. I think they do have competition from, I guess, specialists that do a similar thing. Yeah. Like, for example, back market where you can get rid of old tech. And quite easily and quickly. Yeah. Does it have an ethical angle? I mean, yes, you're recycling it, but the transit of goods, I have no idea.
Yeah.
Is it giving you a valuation for all of the stuff you own in one place? No, it's not. So really, there isn't a like-for-like comparison. Or, competitor out there. So I think it is working, and it's doing a good thing.
Yeah. And I suppose another competitor is just putting your clothes into a bin bag and taking it to the local charity shop, and the effort involved in that, and you might not get a return, but it's still feeding into the circular economy.
And even on things like Vinted and Depop, you have to work quite hard to build up a bit of an audience, especially like on Depop.
Yeah.
You can't just chuck your stuff on there and hope for the best.
Yeah.
This is very simple.
Yeah. So how many fruit?
I am going to go with 3.5 for one quite specific reason.
Mm-hmm.
For a lot of the things they list on there, I just don't think it necessarily is worth it. An average book is maybe 14 to 18 pence.
Right, yeah.
And there's still the option to post that for $4.99.
Yeah.
Single item going there. Like, there are greener ways for me to get rid of that book.
Yeah.
Like a charity shop or something down the road. Or, give it to someone. Like, that's the only reason. I think they just need to really focus the product set on things that are right.
Yeah. No, I think that's fair. I think I'll give them 4, because of the I think the potential that it has, particularly around fashion and technology, where actually the prices are fair. I agree with you on that point, though. If it's not the place to sell books, really, unless you're doing it in bulk. You should have paid for the packaging.
If I've got a whole library of books that I want to get rid of, maybe that like there's something really good there.
Yeah.
But I love them. I think it's a great product.
Yeah.
To summarise.
Yeah. Nice. So we're going to do a little game now. Quick fire game, where we're going to be judging green fintech features, whether they're onto a winner, which is green, or need to see more, which is beige.
I'm unconvinced. Yeah, bit beige.
Let's go. Okay, spin the wheel. Ooh, just dipped into green mortgages. So green mortgages is where you get often a preferential mortgage rate for getting for buying a house that's well insulated and abides by certain green regulations. Really,
do you love it?
I love it. I do love it. I think people should be wary that it doesn't mean that the money comes from a green bank. It's just where they're lending the money is in a more green home. But I still think it's a great idea, and we talked about it quite a lot at Pulse. What do you think?
I think it's a great idea. I don't think it's a great idea for me because I don't think my home's particularly energy efficient.
Fair enough. Going branchless.
Onto a winner.
Yeah.
For green reasons.
Yeah.
But I think there is maybe a slightly more aging or vulnerable section of society that do benefit from face-to-face time.
Yeah.
It does things far beyond sort of banking.
Yeah.
In some cases, it's someone to speak to regularly. I think we can't ignore the fact that digital services do need to do a bit more to design for people that aren't just the generations that are a buzzword.
Metal cards. Need to see more.
I didn't need to see more when I signed up for one.
Right.
Because I'm a sucker for this kind of stuff. But I agree. I don't really see to machine a card really well. It's sure you're not using plastic, so then when I discard it, it's still metal.
It's still metal. It probably takes more energy to make, I think love Monzo, obviously.
Yeah.
But once you leave their premium service, they deactivate your metal card.
Yeah.
So to be fair, they don't sell it as green, but it's not a very green practice.
Need to see more.
Need to see more. Virtual forest.
No, I have no idea what this is. Tell me.
So this is really about it's a plant. Every £100 you spend, you plant a tree, and then you can see it.
I'm with you.
Digitally grow. Yeah.
I like it.
I like it.
I like it. Visualizing something, seeing an output in a digital form that represents something. It's in the same category as being able to visualize something you're saving for.
Yeah.
Creates behaviors.
Yeah.
It's not just a monetary value. It means something.
It gamifies it. It's fun. I think Bunk Green, their proposition, did very well off the back of it. Onto a winner. Wooden cards.
Oh, it's a bit pointless, isn't it? It's, I think of the idea of a wooden card and I just assume it's going to snap like a lolly stick.
Yeah. I like the idea of talking about it when you get it out and say, oh, you've not gone wooden, oh dear, and sort of guilt tripping people there. But I just think it might break, and ultimately,
then I need another one.
You need another one.
Someone wants to. It doesn't work in this industry. Pitched it to me in a pub, and for that reason, I don't think it's a good idea.
Yeah. Okay. Well, need to see more.
Need to see more.
Yeah. Thank you so much for joining us today. It's been a real pleasure. Thank you, Will, for talking us through all these different apps.
I've enjoyed it.
And we'll catch you next time. And of course, if you want to check out the platform, all of these journeys will be available. Head over to pulse.lemonfest.com to check it out. Thank you.